but you didn't eat it. And we respect when shit to do, bro. Just tell us as soon as you come in, hey, little homies, I got an hour. Bet we gonna try to get you in, man. We gonna try to get you in about 45 minutes so you can make it to your next destination. Don't pull up, act like you doing us a favor, and then just leave her without saying something. Just say something so we can know what's going on, gang. We ain't tripping. We'll push back up. Your team, we called your team. We called the person who we called when you was on the way. Guess what they said? We don't know.
DC Young Fly just turned the internet upside down after going off on Rick Ross in a way nobody expected. What started as lighthearted jokes during a live comedy set quickly escalated into a viral moment, leaving fans stunned and Ross looking embarrassed. According to witnesses, DC aimed his jokes directly at the Maybach music boss.
Good. Look, bro, listen, man. I came to your podcast. I came for free, homie, no charge. I did it on Face, homie. I didn't ask you what your analytics was and this and that. I came on Face, homie, to show love. And don't make it like I walked off on you. I left early. Rose had some other things to do too. But guess what? I came for
mocking Ross's weight, his endless claims of being the biggest boss, and even throwing shade at his highly publicized feuds. The crowd erupted with laughter, but the tone shifted when Ross, who was in attendance, looked visibly annoyed by the roasting. Instead of backing down, DC doubled down, telling the audience, "A boss don't fold when the jokes come out, unless you ain't really one." The crowd's reaction was explosive, with clips instantly hitting social media platforms and trending within hours.
Business. Ross, big homie. First of all, you know it love. Second of all, I got to call a spade when it's a spade. You say you did it for free. Everybody do it for free, Ross.
Fans across Twitter and Instagram couldn't stop talking about the exchange, with many saying DC Young Fly exposed Ross in a way no rapper ever could. Others felt Ross should have taken it in stride, but his reaction only fueled the fire. Now with the footage spreading everywhere, it's clear this wasn't just comedy. It was an embarrassment that Rick Ross won't be living down anytime soon. Rick Ross's infamous soap parties with Diddy are no longer whispered rumors. Evidence has surfaced. DC Young Fly released a blurred clip that might appear harmless at first glance, but the surrounding details paint a different picture. Strict NDAs, a no-phones policy.
Out of nowhere, Ross stood up and left.
Use the restroom one time and I'm gonna take this jacket off.
Let's do it.
Yeah, you can't.
Man, stay tuned.
You can't take your foot off for nothing.
And an all-white dress code suggests a controlled environment, one carefully staged to hide activities from the public eye. The foam-filled backdrop created the perfect cover, making sure whatever happened stayed concealed. Ross was caught on tape alongside Diddy. Rewind 3 years, Ross appeared on the 85 South show with DC Young Fly, Carlos Miller, and Chico Bean. The start seemed ordinary, Ross laughing, exchanging jokes, and presenting himself casually. Suddenly, without warning, Ross stood up and walked out mid-show. He never returned. Officially, he cited a scheduling conflict. But
now that wasn't the biggest moment. Now, that's one of the viral moments, but Boosie episode 8 million. Got Country Wayne, shit like 6, 7 million. Like, we do numbers, we do analytics. Our analytics, we was the biggest before you came, and we was the biggest afterwards. So you always got room to come back to be on the biggest podcast in the world, correct? You dig what I'm saying? But when you call a spade, it get hot.
DC Young Fly later called that excuse a fabrication during a recent interview that reignited tension. While he expressed respect for Ross's music, he admitted the sudden exit felt dishonest and suspicious. Walking out like that came across as humiliating, leaving the hosts and audience blindsided. Behind the scenes, speculation grew that Ross deliberately avoided uncomfortable questions, the type that cannot be edited out, the kind that might reveal what truly happens behind closed doors and explain the secrecy surrounding those notorious parties. Speculation quickly grew. What exactly was Ross running from? After leaving the 85 South show in such a questionable way, Ross doubled down, claiming DC Young Fly should be grateful he even appeared for 3 minutes.
Be mindful. You may never know who knows somebody, who kin to somebody, who saw what you posted. Because you're going to have to stand on.
To reinforce his point, Ross released a video online, attempting to silence the rumors and shut the conversation down once and for all. But the video only fueled curiosity. Ross began speaking in circles, making statements that lacked clarity and raised more questions than answers. What became evident was that this wasn't just lighthearted online drama, it had turned into something deeper, personal, and tied to unresolved tension. DC wasn't willing to let Ross control the story, so he addressed it head on. DC clarified that there were over 200 people waiting in the back, yet Ross simply didn't stay. This sparked one burning question: why vanish so abruptly? Rumors began linking Ross to Diddy in ways that extended far beyond music, with whispers suggesting private dealings that Ross seemed desperate to avoid. His withdrawal from certain associations only intensified speculation. Then DC released a blurred clip allegedly filmed at Ross's Promised Land estate. It showed a foam-filled, all-white private party. Attendees had signed NDAs, phones were confiscated, and thick soap clouds covered the scene, masking whatever truly occurred.
Okay, I'm gonna say first of all, I don't give a
Yeah, I get it.
but I give a because
Try to make it bad.
with you as a person.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Before, okay, let's just say before all that happened, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say before all that happened. Bro, I'm listening to you, Ross. I feel like you wanted to. Hey!
Shut the f up.
I'm listening to you, Ross. I feel like you probably one of the best lyricists from the South that we got. You dig what I'm saying? Like, you poetic, bro. When I listen to your music, I think you put a lot of time and effort into this.
Yeah.
The timing was no coincidence. DC posted it immediately after Ross announced plans for another pool party on August 2nd, boldly claiming DC would attend. Speculation only intensified. What exactly was Ross running from? Even after his shady exit, Ross insisted DC Young Fly should feel grateful for his brief 3-minute appearance. To reinforce his stance, Ross posted a video online, aiming to silence the discussion once and for all. But the video only raised suspicions. Ross's words seemed scattered, his explanations lacked logic, and his attempt to spin the story created even more doubt. It quickly became clear this wasn't trivial online drama. It was personal, layered, and tied to something deeper. DC wasn't letting Ross rewrite the narrative, so he addressed it directly, pointing out that over 200 guests were waiting in the back while Ross simply refused to stick around. The mystery grew louder. Where exactly did Ross go? Rumors connected him to Diddy in ways that extended well beyond music, with whispers of activities most artists would avoid discussing publicly. When Ross began pulling away from certain ties, people questioned whether he was distancing himself from potential exposure.
Dawn, you know what I'm saying? You know, so it's just,
But then you
we could have those debates, we really could.
Teflon was off the chain.
I mean,
You know what I'm
and
saying?
I like the way
It's a
you
different
followed up
time.
hustling with pushing it. Like, how did you know to come right back on their ass?
You got to.
Right.
Man, just don't take the foot off the gas at all.
The speculation escalated when DC released a blurred clip from a foam-covered all-white private party at Ross's Promised Land estate. Guests had signed NDAs, phones were confiscated, and thick soap clouds obscured the scene, perfect for hiding what really took place. The timing raised eyebrows since DC posted it right after Ross promoted another pool party for August 2nd, even claiming DC would attend. Now, celebrity pool parties aren't viewed the same. In the aftermath of allegations about Diddy's so-called freak-offs, no footage is dismissed. Old receipts resurfaced, including Ross's 2013 lyric, "Put Molly all in her champagne, she ain't even know it." That line cost him major brand deals at the time. Though backlash faded, the lyric is now being re-examined as a breadcrumb. 50 Cent even hinted in interviews that his upcoming documentary would expose details about hidden parties.
Ross, big homie. First of all, you know it love. Second of all, I got to call a spade when it's a spade. You say you did it for free. Everybody do it for free, Ross. You ain't the only nigga who did it for free. T.I. do it for free. Busta Rhymes did it for free. Snoop Dogg did it for free. Everybody who sat on that couch do it for free.
Spiked bottles, and women who later admitted they couldn't recall nights in full. What once seemed brushed off is now being revisited as a possible pattern. The foam party clip took on a life of its own. Fans slowed it frame by frame, pointing out strange details. One guest stood out, someone not on the official list who didn't arrive with Ross or leave with Diddy, but wore a metallic bracelet with a unique emblem. Observers compared it to paparazzi shots of a figure long tied to Diddy's circle. Here's where things turn darker. In 2018, Jonathan O.T.I. opened fire at Trump National Doral. During police questioning, he ranted about being enslaved by Diddy and claimed both Diddy and Ross were part of secret rituals. At the time, the internet dismissed him as a conspiracy theorist. But after Cassie's lawsuit and leaked party clips, his words resurfaced with new weight. Jonathan even described what he called satanic rituals, fueling ongoing debate about what may have been happening behind closed doors.
Well, you know what? I just woke up and understood. Social media gave people the power to not get punched in the face. You think you can say what you want to say, post it, and then be like, yeah, I know he gonna see it. Then if we delete it, you go back and like retype it, and then be like, yeah. Hey man, when I grew up, anything you said, you better be able to stand on it. I grew up in an era where smacked in the
moment you lead our show, you went and did a podcast, a white podcast. You sat your ass right there for almost 2 hours.
And didn't leave.
And you talked. And them white folk asked your ass, was you a correctional officer?
Yeah.
We would have never asked you no that nigga
Right.
got respect for you.
Right.
And you sat right there and you answered that question so eloquently,
Right.
eloquently.
Eloquently, right.
You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Jonathan's accusations went further, alleging that Diddy and Ross were involved in so-called satanic rituals, even naming places like Bohemian Grove and referencing the bull, which he described as the Black Branch of the Illuminati. He claimed they trapped him in contracts, infected him with an STD, and shielded themselves with powerful attorneys such as Kenny and Ben Ellis. Jonathan even argued that Ross had his own secretive agenda throughout this period. As far-fetched as the claims may sound, one detail stood out. During his BET Lifetime Achievement Award speech, Ross publicly thanked Kenny Ziss by name on live television. Quoting directly, Ross said, "I thank my brother Hall Pierre, Kenny Missiles." That single moment gave Jonathan's so-called ramblings a degree of credibility, as it tied one of his accusations to a verified event witnessed by millions. Piece by piece, many of Jonathan's claims, rituals, NDAs, hidden tapes, secret parties, have begun aligning with revelations from entirely separate sources. Cassie's lawsuit, new leaks, and resurfaced testimonies have made the allegations harder to dismiss. What once looked like conspiracy talk is now being pieced together as part of a larger pattern. Those infamous soap parties suddenly look less like harmless entertainment and more like calculated initiations. The consistent elements, thick foam, strict all-white dress codes, confiscated phones, and enforced NDAs point towards secrecy rather than celebration. Adding to the unease, old footage exists of Diddy and Ross drenched in suds, laughing while washing cars side by side. In one clip, Ross casually remarked, "You know, that tip's gonna be good," delivered as if it were an inside joke. At the time, it seemed playful. But now, rewatching it through the lens of freak-off allegations and ceremonial soap parties, many question what was really being implied. The situation escalated further when DC dropped the blurred foam party clip, which many viewed as a direct shot fired at Ross. Things grew even messier afterward. DC went live, visibly emotional, admitting he realized that One of his own close friends had secretly been harboring jealousy and resentment the entire time, creating another layer of tension around the controversy. DC's tone didn't sound like it was aimed at random trolls or nameless haters. It felt direct, almost personal, as though someone close to him had taken a calculated jab online. His response was sharp and deliberate, reminding everyone that the old code still applies, and certain boundaries, if crossed, will still get checked in real life. Notably, DC didn't name names. He didn't have to. He understood how the internet works and knew others would start connecting dots on their own. Importantly, DC has never been just another clout chaser. He's been inside the machine. There's documented footage of him at Combs Enterprises with the 85 South crew during meetings when they were pitching to revolt. At one point, Diddy even contacted DC directly to book a comedy show, further tying him to the orbit surrounding these allegations. Then came an unsettling rumor. It wasn't just that Diddy allegedly hosted secretive parties. It was that he documented them extensively. From rooms and hallways to cars, bowls, and even confiscated phones, every detail was said to be recorded, not simply replayed as harmless entertainment, but allegedly archived as part of a larger ritual of control. This context made DC's blurred foam clip even more striking. It wasn't just a tease or a joke, it carried the weight of a warning, signaling that the free pass protecting these events was gone. What once seemed like slippery soap jokes no longer landed the same way. With too many NDAs signed, too many no phone rules enforced, and too many leaked side angles surfacing, people began realizing the foam may have been less about spectacle and more about concealment. The fallout became more intense when legal emails started arriving, messages crafted with uncanny precision, perfectly typed and polished, far cleaner than the casual correspondence typical in entertainment. That detail alone raised suspicion, as if the responses weren't from artists or their immediate teams, but rather from high-level attorneys aiming to keep damaging truth sealed. Defamatory, mischaracterizing an event, remove or face action. That's the exact legal language that began surfacing in polished letters and emails. Yet strangely, those warnings never clarified what was supposedly false. There was no outright denial of who attended, no mention of the bracelet spotted in footage, and no acknowledgement of the NDAs. Instead, the goal seemed clear: run the clock, create panic, and force platforms or individuals to delete content before more eyes saw it. Platform pressure quickly followed. Accounts that reposted even seconds of the blurred clip found videos demonetized, flagged, or buried under age restrictions. Captions using words like alleged were hit as well, turning the process into a warning system meant to scare creators into silence. But DC wasn't operating like a random blog page. His loyal fan base follows him across platforms, allowing him to absorb those hits and keep momentum alive. Meanwhile, Ross appeared online acting as if nothing had happened, projecting calm while the speculation only grew louder. Observers noted that while many leaks fade over time, this one carried a heavier weight. People whispered about a longer cut of the footage still sitting quietly in someone's archive. If that version were to ever surface, it wouldn't just show clouds of foam, it would reveal exactly who stood where, when, and why. And that possibility keeps the tension alive, because once the truth surfaces, no polished statement or legal threat will be able to contain it. The blurred clip was only the beginning of a much larger story waiting to unfold. If you've been following this breakdown, make sure to hit like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments. There's plenty more to uncover, and the next revelations may be bigger than anything seen so far.